India in the dawning golden age. So as an intro, I just want to add few more words and then we'll begin. We have put the assembled the Sunday Master quotations, Sunday Master's teachings, briefly put together. What they have said about the nation of India and America as twin flame nations. We'll talk about the meaning of the twin flame nations as we move forward and how does it, what is the purpose of that and why we are talking about today, and then most important, what we can do from this point forward as our role as a keepers of the flame, as Sunday Master students, chelas. What do we envision today? And so I think you'll enjoy this journey together for the next hour and sort of 15 minutes. We'll have a question and answer session at the last 15 minutes. So if you have any questions or something, comments, please do put in the chat room. We'll be checking, Lois and myself and Jay will be checking the chat room very often. So we'll come back and try to answer those questions. But I think we hope that 15 minutes will be enough time. And we have put a very nice assortment, bouquet of whatever you want to call that, of different things, like different sort of what mother has said, what masters have said, what the Ascended Masters have said, particularly about this particular case, and also some meditations also, So I think it's going to be very, very interesting journey together for the next hour and 15 minutes or so. So can we have the, Lois, would like to add anything, please?
Well, I thought it might be a good idea if we took a few seconds just to introduce ourselves in case there's someone who doesn't know you, Jaspal. I'll start. I'm Lois Drake, and I serve on the India Planning Committee. We do a lot of work to try to bring the teachings of the Ascended Masters to India and other parts of the world. I've been studying these teachings for over 30 years, and I really never find a dull moment. And I love to take the teachings and help facilitate retreats and workshops. So that's a little bit about me. How about you, Jaspal?
Well, I found the teaching back in 1977. So, and I guess I went to India and come back. I went with mother when she went to India in 1980, open up the ashram. Chananda had requested that ashram. Then I was there for 3 years, and then I went back again in 2011. And my spiritual journey has been really kind of, all these years with learning more and more about the master teaching and how I guess all of us are doing this together, So I'm learning every day. So I'm very grateful, as we all are, to be part of this Ascended Master Teaching Mandala as a chelas. And then I think this particular topic that India and America has been very near and dear to my heart. And I see some faces here, that they're doing together work in Bozeman Teaching Center. So we are all doing together. It's not a one-man show. It's a team effort. It's a Chelas of the Master. We are all together. So I think that's my brief intro that I want to present to all of you.
Well, Jaspal, how did you first become interested in this topic about the spiritual destiny of India and America and, the twin flame relationship? How did that come about?
Well, that's actually all of us have a story behind it, how we found the teaching. But so I think I was interested in finding the teaching. So once I found the teaching, I started, being from India, and I think is another, my friend here, Srinand from India. So both of us were at Camelot, and we used to talk about things about India jointly together, And so then we started paying attention when, there were not too many students from India, and it still are. It's like this. So it kind of, dawned upon myself, and I'm sure about Srinath and other people who came from India, that why India is so important, why masters are using the word India. So, in the dictation very often. So as we, as it continued, I just felt like, there is a destiny and a twin flame. And then I guess the thing started to unfold gradually, little by little. And then I realized, well, then when I went with mother in 1980, and Chananda had called for ashram in New Delhi, in India. So then I think things became a little bit more clear, and I guess things, and I think that has been the story. Then I wanted to present something why we are doing it today. February 20th is I learned that other day that is a planet called Pluto that has a very slow moving planet in the orbit. It takes about 245 years or 248 years, something like that. I looked at Google both ways. And so it completed its circle in that many years. So when last time it began its circle 245 years ago, there was 1776. You know what happened, 1776, July 4 later on. So I think this is what it brings. What Pluto brings is a couple of things are noted. It brings a huge transformation and major shifts. Positively speaking, I'm talking about those. So I guess when we did not know that February 20th, when Lois and I were talking about, a date of that, and Lois looked at her calendar and said, well, February 20th looks like good time, So I know, so there is, I guess it's a hand of God behind the whole operation of everyone's life, my live stream. And so I became interested as we move forward. And I guess just each day is a new day, new things happen, and we just grateful. I'm just grateful to be part of this mandala.
Well, I know for myself, when I found the teachings of the Ascended Masters, I learned about twin flames. I'm sure most of us had that experience. And of course, I think we have all heard of soulmates, but the idea of a twin flame was unique when I found the teachings. And then to hear that the Ascended Masters also apply that to nations and have revealed to us that there are twin flame nations of India and America. Those are the only that they've revealed thus far. I was really intrigued. And as I go along further and I pray for my own twin flame and I try to find wholeness, like we're all trying to find wholeness, it really makes me contemplate, well, what about planet Earth and finding wholeness for planet Earth? Isn't it important for the twin flames of planet Earth, of nations also to come together? So that's how I got interested. And what you just said, Jaspal, is really amazing to me. A shift, starting a new cycle. And perhaps that also is what ties into the title of our presentation, having to do with the dawning golden age, because, that golden age, what is that? What does that mean to you, Jaspal? When's that coming?
Well, I thought about it, and everybody, I'm sure everyone has an answer which is befitting in this whole equation, Here it is, the golden age consciousness. I think it slowly comes on. It's not like, I remember, I think once my mother was giving a teaching, he said, it's not going to be like this. You wake up one day and you say, well, golden age is here. The sun is different, or the light is different, or every day looks different. I think it's a dawning golden age consciousness, step by step, as we are being awakened, as we are being made aware of things. So here is the two masters, the Ascended Master Chananda, the head of the Indian Council of the Great One Brotherhood, and the Ascended Master Saint Germain Chauhan of the seventh ray of the higher of the Aquarian age. And I think this master have held a vision of the golden age. The earth had many, many golden ages in the past. And so it's a new, I have heard that from masters, from the mother's teaching, that this golden age is going to be permanent golden age in the physical plane. It's not in the etheric plane, in the physical plane, but we have to work on it. You have to work for it. It's not going to be automatic, So I think golden age consciousness, what it means is, to me, is when masters and chelas have talked in the past face to face, like Maitreya's Mystery School, like we know that, and previous golden age we had in India, we had in Egypt, we had in, different part of the planet. So we did have golden ages in the past, and this is a golden age that is dawning. Dawning means, we are the forerunners. You can say that as a student of the Ascended Master, we are the ushering the golden age consciousness. We are first awakening ourselves as the process. So I think it's a very, very many more than one answer that I can present. What do you think, Lois? What does it mean to you about the dawning golden age? When you think
I loved everything you just said. I mean, that is so perfect. And the idea that the Ascended Masters walk and talk with us. And guess what? That's what they're trying to do with us every day. So I think the golden age also starts with us, right? I'm sure that we all agree with that. We have to raise our consciousness to be in our own golden age and walk and talk with the masters. And I think that we, by even having this little workshop, it's the beginning of the cycle of this shift, of this dawning golden age. And maybe we should go ahead then and keep that in mind as we sing the song to Chinanda. Is this a good time, Jaspal?
Yes, perfectly. I was thinking the same thing. Please go ahead.
Okay. So Chinanda, we asked you to join us, and we ask you to launch the cycle of the coming golden age and the twin flame relationship between India and America.
Send we love and adoration, Son of light from heaven's height, with beauty, love, and power, as chief of the Indian council of the great white brotherhood, we call for a new birth to sweep the earth. For India illumination's flame, let east and west unite in holy aim, and brothers be with one accord. O lightning mind of Christ abhorred, thy people blessed with happiness, thy standard raise the darkness now in me, and strands of light and understanding we, O India, blessed land of peace, awaken and blazon, enlighten all, hail the beloved Chananda, Himalayan home of light, the holder of perfection's flame, God government for all. We call for America, for India, the head and heart, together like the cosmic Christ divine. Thy holy purpose is our sacred trust. Our destiny, 'tis destiny none does. The balance holds resentment free. Inheritance divine to see. Intensify and amplify the will of God for all upon the earth. Thy love and power made to give rebirth. The universe a oneness be. Your blessing, outpouring, beloved Chananda, dear, accept our grateful
Thank you, everyone. You know, I think that song really says it all. I wish we could just keep it playing on and on forever. In some ways, it's a little mind-boggling to think of nations as twin flames, especially when we think about what twin flames are and where they come from. Some of you may never have seen this chart of the presence before. It's our chart, our Hindu chart with Hindi there as well. And Jaspal, just as a quick overview, maybe you could walk us through this.
Well, it is the same actually chart that we have in the standard chart of the I'm presence. You know, it's like an apple is an apple is an apple, you know, whatever language we call it is not. So chart is the same chart, you know, except, you know, we like to our human consciousness, we are used to recognizing or accepting something easily in our own language, in our own culture, in our own terminology. So really, exactly it says the same thing. He says, "Aapka nizi Ishwariya Swaroop." This is your chart of your divine presence. So what we did was we kind of translated every part of the upper three bodies and the lower, not the lower person in the four bodies inside. So we have actually done that, and then you have to put the mantra of the Valor flame. That is something. I am a being of Valor fire. I am the purity God desire. And we kind of look for what is a befitting translation of that. So we can. I'm going to read that. So you can get a sound of that. How it sounds like. मैं हूँ वालेट अग्नि की लौ, करे मुझे पवित्र प्रभु लौ है जो. I'm going to say it again. मैं हूँ वालेट अग्नि की लौ. I am a being of Valor fire. करे मुझे पवित्र प्रभु लो है जो. I am the purity God desires. So I think, people very much kind of in India, that's only one mantra that we translated in Hindi, but we are working on translating other Valor flame and other decrees also in Hindi down the road. So please keep in your prayers and in your heart.
So this is where it all begins. And after the causal body was formed, then the twin flames separated into two identical spheres as the alpha omega polarities moving into matter. And each consisted of an individualized I am presence surrounded by the causal body. So you see the white fire spark, the masculine feminine polarity, and then the twin flames. So each half of the whole, and I think this is so astounding to think about as nations, each half of the whole shared the identical divine blueprint that was impressed upon the white fire core of the spirit spark when it was first created. So in essence, we were created in spirit with our twin flames, our other half. Now, when we try to think of this in terms of nations, and I don't know, Jaspal, what your impressions are, but the only way I can imagine this is that somehow in the magnificence of God's plan, the causal bodies of the life streams who are part of India and the life streams who are part of America through all past and present and future ages, I suppose, were formed in the same mandala or group, the same group of life waves that would be part of this incredible destiny. What do you think, Jaspal? And also, I welcome other people to put into the chat, if you have any ideas about this or questions, how do you get twin flame nations or comments, please go ahead and put them in. But what do you think, Jaspal? Do you think that's what happened, that God just brought created a mandala together?
Well, that is what I came to the same, I can say, assumption and conclusion, because, this principle, we do not know particularly how this, we know the principle of the twin flames as male and female. We know in India, we have a Brahma and Saraswati. We have a Vishnu and Lakshmi. We have a Shiva and Parvati. And then we know about the twin flames that masters have taught about it. At two people of opposite sex. And I think that what Lois said, that makes, as you said, past, present, and future. The groups of soul in India and America, past, present, and future, the mandala of group, they have the common destiny. They were formed spiritually in the very beginning with the same principle as two individual souls were formed. So I think, that is how, to me, I think this is make kind of from the Sunday Massive perspective, that makes the sense to me also. So now we have, you can look at what does this chart mean? The chart of India on one side, chart of America, and the causal body behind it. Causal body of the collective people or souls who are part of that mandala. And you can take it a little bit further. You can say that the ascended India and ascended America, ascended twin flames. So we can say that we also ascended India and victory for the twin flame nation when we say that. So I think that is what I think. That's what my thoughts are also, Lois, on that.
Well, sometimes it's hard to imagine because our two nations really seem very, very different, don't they? I mean, I'm sure a lot of us are thinking that, and yet in some ways they're very complementary. So What are some of the things that you think are the same about India and America? Anything come to mind, Jasbal?
Yes, I think both nations people are very enterprising, inventive, hardworking, very religious or spiritual, very creative, very patriotic. Both are democratic nations. And most importantly, they love freedom. People in both countries, they love freedom. So I think now, I think that puts everything that I can think of. And anything else that comes to your heart or mind, Lois?
You know what I'm thinking of is a friend of, many of you remember a friend of ours who has passed on into the octaves of light, Linda Warbeck. And she had traveled all over the world. And I remember her saying to me one time, the first time she went to India in this lifetime, she said, when I got off the plane, it was just as if I was stepping onto the soil of America. Isn't that interesting? She felt the flame, she felt the vibration. So there was something there. We can maybe go into that a little bit later, but I thought that was very interesting because when you step even into a different state in the United States or you go into a different country, you feel something different. And she felt it really was very similar. So I don't know. How about some of the differences, Jasbal, between America and India?
Yeah, if you, some of them that come to my mind are these. India is a predominantly Hindu nation, whereas US is more Christian. We know that. India is developing economically, where America is developed. India has a very different culture with conservative dress and devotion to the Divine Mother. In India, most people live in as a rural area, larger rural population, and again, very youthful population. I think the statistics are that I think 2/3 of the people in India are in the younger generation group, 66% or something like that. So that is something that which is not true in America, So I think these are some of the things that come to my mind, which are different.
Yes, and those things can be very complementary. Even so, I know that many people here on this workshop today have been to India and been to other nations as well, and they may have ideas too they can put into the chat. But I think that if we want to enter a golden age in America, then we clearly do need to honor the Divine Mother. We need to honor the divine feminine rather than commercializing sex and degrading our idea of women, which has become very common in our culture. So I think that whatever differences we have, they can really help each other.
I agree with you.
Yes, I think also the religions are important to consider.
Yes, and I think in India have many different religions, as you said, and I think the reincarnation and the guru-student, I'm not saying Guru Chela, guru-student, the teacher-student relationship is very strong. It's very much revered. There's a lot of respect for parents and teachers in India. So these traits would be very helpful to permeate into US culture as a twin flame nations can help each other grow up spiritually higher and complement each other.
I think it's interesting that the masters have really only identified India and America as the twin flame nations. Of course, there are other twin flame nations, but they haven't been revealed to us. They have spoken, though, about how these nations, India and America, are ordained for mighty cosmic purpose in these times. And what do you think about that, Jasbal? And why are we getting this information now?
Now, that is $1 million question, Lois, and these are some of the thoughts that came to my mind. Yet, this is again based upon the Ascended Master teaching. Twin flames are divine counterparts who are created from the same white fire body. That's my first point. I'm going to present the 4 points. They also share a unique electronic blueprint, which none will ever have. Isn't it amazing? Looking at the same principle of the twin flames for two people. And the third one is their cosmic destiny is unique. And fourth one, last one, and more can fulfill, and no one can fulfill it in their place. I mean, think of that indispensability of those two. There is no one can substitute for that. So in this context of Indian America people, the collective body we are talking about, those 4 points kind of, very much, are very stand out very much in my mind. Anything else I can like to add to that, Lois?
Those are fantastic. That very part about that their cosmic destiny is unique and that none other can fulfill it in their place. And then Anna Ria wrote that India seems very heart-centered and America seems very mind-centered. So that's kind of another of the differences. And Peggy wrote, I find it interesting how India is into the Divine Mother and USA is addressed as, I think that's as a mother, and USA is addressed as mother feminine. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment. In fact, Jaspal, which country do you think is the masculine and which is the feminine in this case?
Can we have the next slide? I think slide number, I think that really, yeah, this is the one. Now, we have a Uncle Sam, and we have we call it Bharat Mata or Mother India, So these are the two excellent slides. Masters have talked about that Uncle Sam, quite a bit, Samuel, of course, Prophet Samuel, named after that. And India is revered as mother, everybody thinks of the motherland. I think Divine Mother, home of Divine Mother, we have saints over there. Many, India is a land where Jesus walked, Gautama Buddha, saints, Krishna, I mean, you name it. I mean, has a history of saints. And why you think the saints were given or permission or have incarnated there? Because the land of the mother, I think the land of the mother attracts the children, the sons and daughters of God. And so I think that's my take on it, why they're called twin flame nations. And it's a mystical question, by the way. It's like that does not mean that literally America is always father nation and India is a mother nation. They, as a polarity, Tai Chi as alpha and omega. Like Shiva becomes Parvati, Parvati becomes Shiva. Male becomes female, and there's a clockwise flow. So I think it's kind of cyclic, thing that happens perpetually, moment by moment. So I think that's my take on it.
I like that. That helps me a lot to understand, and it also is key, I think, to think of the planet Earth as a huge body. Just have a little time lag here. I'm just going to come out a moment because sometimes the PowerPoint gets a little stuck. So we'll try to unstick it. I really love what the Ascended Master says about India and America in a dictation he gave in 1959. That was a while back. He said that each nation has a divine plan of its own to fulfill, every nation in the world. And according to their divine destinies, the various nations of the world represent the various parts of the Earth's body. So if we think of the Earth as this whole mighty cosmic body, therefore, he says, in the New Age, the land of India shall represent the head of such an earth body, and the land of America, the heart. Take notice, please, that the name India begins with the letter I, and America with am, A-M. Is this not significant, he says. I love that. It would be nice to know what other nations are twin flame nations. And obviously, every nation is extremely important because you cannot have a fully functioning body without each of its parts. And the earth is meant to fulfill a divine destiny too. So, Jaspal, what are your thoughts about the divine destiny of Earth and the significance of India in that destiny?
That is another $1 million question. And I think, the masters have called Earth as a freedom star. And so in that role of freedom star, the twin pillars of freedom are who? And we talked about India and America. So I'm not going to say when, I'm not going to say if, when that cosmic moment, that is cosmic consciousness of Earth comes, into the Freedom Star on the physical octave. I'm talking about that. Now we can imagine how important it is for India and America to find each other. Just like each one of us individually is seeking our twin flame to have our wholeness and to reunite in God. Before we get into how we can do this for India, let us visualize what Elizabeth Clare Prophet teachings on twin flames and apply it to our, not only to ourselves, but to India-America relationship and the Earth's journey back to God. So can we have that, Lois, please, that
Yes.
transcript? But it's not 7 minutes long teaching by Guruma.
Yes, she was delivering this lecture to an audience in San Francisco. So you'll notice, of course, she refers to the Christ self, which is our Western terminology. And if you were watching this in India or another part of the world, you could also say your Krishna self, your Vishnu self, your Buddha self. But again, as Jaspal has said, we've heard this teaching before. Every time I hear it, I can hardly wait to hear it again to remind me to pray for my twin flame. But let's also visualize it, not just for ourselves, but see it as also a discussion of how to unite the twin flames of India and America. So here we go.
If I were to help you live your life in this hour, each one of you at a different age and cycle and moment, I would tell you to seek and find your teacher, who is your Holy Christ self and your I Am presence, to translate your love for your twin flame into your love for the Ascended Master of your choosing, to immerse yourself in the world service of that Master, to set a level of how you want to live your life. And by setting your course, you are defining what you want in a mate. And you will wake up one day and find your twin flame at your side. Sometimes I counsel people who say they're alone, they're tired of being alone, they want to get married. And I say, well, you can't just marry anyone because you're alone. What do you want in a man? What do you want in a woman? Describe this person to me. Draw the profile of the Christ qualities that you want to find. You have to decide, are you going to be on the low road, the mediocre road, the high road, the road of excellence? Where are you positioning yourself? What you want in your counterpart, you must become. So someone says, well, I want my wife or my husband to help me on the path. I want somebody I can lean on. I want somebody that's going to supply the strengths where I have weaknesses. Well, those things may be a part of the package because we don't marry unless we have needs, obviously. But the reverse is really the case. You have to supply the strength. You have to give the guidance on the path. You have to expect to be the pillar of fire in that marriage, in that partnership, in that relationship. And what comes back to you from the other person should not be because of a level of expectations, but as a grace and kind of an added something that comes along with it. Your expectations should never be in your mate. They should be in yourself and in your presence. And you know what happens then? You are totally free to give. You don't just give because someone's nice to you. You give because there is this fountain overflowing within you. You can make up for someone else's incompleteness. You can supply the wholeness. You don't have to have hurt feelings or feel sorry for yourself because somebody didn't deal with you the way you were expecting. All of your expectations should be in your God presence and in yourself to bring that presence down. You cannot attract to yourself your twin flame unless you are physically manifesting that Christhood that is the other side of that twin flame. That is the challenge and the course that is set before you. And at that point, when you are your Christ, you are the Christ of your twin flame. That twin flame will be there even if that person is an ascended master or somewhere else in the world. The Holy Christ self of that twin flame will be reinforcing you. Things equal to the same thing are equal to each other. If you embody the minus or the plus, it's just the law of the magnet. There is no separating. The two must be one. So let's get out of the sense of separation or self-pity or apartness. And let's remember there's a world to save. The world you save must be your own, and you're saving it for yourself and your twin flame. But your twin flame may be a child somewhere that does not have good care or good education or is into drugs. Someone caught in a very difficult entanglement, a life and death struggle. The world you save, namely planet Earth, San Francisco, California, is the world that your twin flame may be living in right now. You have an absolute vested interest in saving this planet for your twin flame and for your fiery destiny together. Therefore, I suggest that you become the most charging, fiery disciple of God, of the Lord Christ, the Lord Buddha, or the master of your calling who is ascended. Whatever human teacher you may have, you need to be under the tutelage of an ascended master, because it is in the power of the ascended masters to sponsor you and your twin flame. If you desire that sponsorship, but you have karma, the masters want to see some proof. The constancy, the consistency of the dedication that's not just a flash in the pan, but carries on through thick and thin, that doesn't suddenly get delighted about the path and then cool off in a matter of weeks and take up something else that's interesting. It is the consistency starting now, if you don't have it, or the consistency of lifetimes and this lifetime of being a person who is trustworthy. Are you good for your word? When you tell your friends you will do something, do you do it? When you make a commitment to your children or your spouses or those with whom you are karmically tied, do you carry through all the way? Do you give support when you say you will give support? Do you flit around, or do you stick with a job even when it gets so you don't like it, because you need that job to support people who depend on you? Dependability, trustworthiness, keeping your word, not giving it lightly, having a good self-assessment of what you can and cannot do. All these things count when it comes to your relationship with your I Am Presence, your Ascended Master, and your twin flame. If you don't have a good relationship with yourself, don't expect to have a good relationship with your twin flame just because you are tied at inner levels.
Well, I think Mother had a lot of very practical advice there, whether for finding our personal twin flame or a national twin flame. You know, the very concept that she said, what do you want in a partner? What do you want in a nation? And you have to become that. So we have to develop those God qualities in our nation in order to really unite with another nation and to unite with our twin flame nation. And that your expectations are never in your mate, but that in your own higher self, your own God presence. And do you keep your word? Do you carry through with what you say? What do you think, Jaspal? What are some practical things that we can do to help the twin flame nations of India and America come together?
This is another good question, Lois. There are many things we can do on many levels. We can start by saying a simple mantra so often as possible, and do keep it running in our hearts and minds. Here it is. It is called by the power of the 3 times 3. America, India, and all are free. All means everyone on the earth, every nation is free. All on earth is free. So we know this two-line mantra. We have used it. We use it very often, especially on Saturdays. So it's very simple. But you might be thinking, what's the science behind this? What is the science behind this? What is the threefold flame? By the power of 3 times 3, America, India, and all are free. Well, one interpretation that I have is this: the power of the threefold flame in our hearts, as we can see on the screen, is power of the Trinity, of the Father, which is called Brahma, the Son, Vishnu, and the Holy Spirit, Shiva, is infinite. Well, what it means is this, that our I am presence has a threefold flame. Our Holy Christ self has a threefold flame, and we have a threefold flame. Well, so our threefold flame, we know about. Masters have, Archangel Michael, other masters have told us how we can increase the size of it from 1/16 of an inch to quarter an inch to a half an inch, even an inch or more, maybe 5-6 feet, So that is a goal. So what it says to me is that when we are giving that mantra, the power of the 3 times 3, power of the threefold flame in the heart of Brahma, our Father, in the heart of the Son, a threefold flame, and the Trinity in our heart, when it's multiplied, it's not really 3 times 3 times 3 as mathematically, it's not 27. It's really the infinite, but multiplied by infinite. It's exponential. It's beyond it. So what is happening, my understanding is that when we give that mantra, by the power of 3 times 3, America and India and all are free. Well, we are actually using the science of the spoken word to really use it in a very powerful way. We are helping people to rise up higher. In other words, we are helping people to cut them free from karma, from negativity, whatever can be cut at the planetary level, at the national level, and maybe at the personal level. I think there's a science behind it also. So I think this is what my take is on. Anything that comes to your mind, to your heart, Lois?
I think that we all recognize that God lives within us, and we're all familiar with the threefold flame. And I really appreciate that explanation of the 3 times 3, which helps, because a lot of times I think I don't I underestimate what that power really is. That's the power of Almighty God, and the polarities between the 2 nations and all of the vibrations of the people living in those nations being raised. It's so simple, but the simple things are often the most incredible, aren't they? I mean, they're the key to having God's power on earth. So I think it'd be nice to try this, Just Ball. I know everybody has given this before, but maybe not specifically for this cause of launching India and America into the shift of consciousness. Do you want to lead us in that?
Yes, thank you. I think we are 37 of us, so the power of 37 times 37 is going to be quite a big number. So let's give it 3 times, and everybody's on the mute, so you can just do it as you feel comfortable. So 3 times. By the power of the 3 times 3, America, India, and all are free. By the power of the 3 times 3, America, India, and all are free. By the power of the 3 times 3, America, India, and all are free. Amen.
Amen. That feels very powerful. That feels like a mantra. I should really get into the habit of keeping it going in my heart all the time. So what else have the Ascended Masters said about America?
This is a very important slide. Now we are coming to a different part of the Ascended Master quotation. We talked about that. We will be sharing what Ascended Master have said about the destiny of India and America. So this is our, Lois mentioned one slide from Saint Germain earlier, the body of human body and heart and head. This is the second slide on that. So these are 7 Ascended Masters who have requested our prayers for the victory of the twin flame nations, and they are from left: Serapis Bey, Kuthumi, Saint Germain, Great Divine Director, Almoria, Chananda, and Dwal Khul. We do not have a picture of Dwal Khul, so we have a solo hood of Ascended Master Dwal Khul as showing. So this is something I think in the next slide. Who said that? What was the quotation? His master, the chief. So here's what Almoria said in his dictation. He said, "It is most important that you cooperate in your calls to Chananda, to me, to Kutumi, and Dwal Khul, to Srapus Bey, the great divine director, and Saint Germain, for the coordination of the divine plan for all of India and America as one," unquote. So this is something that I think, I guess we can talk about it a little bit more as we go to the next slide. But Lois, what is your take on that?
How do we cooperate with the masters? What do we do?
That is a very, very appropriate thing. How do you go into the detail? What Almoria is saying is this: superimpose the map of India on the map of United States, and then realize the fusion of these hearts, east and west, as the mighty fusion of twin flames. This is also his quotation that we did not paraphrase this word. He's saying that superimpose India on the map of the United States, and then realize the fusion of these hearts, people of India, people of America, east and west, as the mighty fusion of twin flames.
Thank you. I'm going to just back it up here a little bit, because I think it's interesting that when you superimpose the map of the United States, first it appears almost like the lungs receiving the prana, the light energy, the essence of God, and then India comes on top of that. And, to me, it looks like a heart receiving the light of God. So this is how we can visualize, how the masters recommend that we visualize India superimposed over the United States and the two fused as one. Let's leave this visualization in our mind's eye for just a couple minutes while we meditate upon the Gayatri mantra. If you're not familiar with this mantra, it starts with the word Om, which is used to symbolize Brahma, the creator. And then the Gayatri mantra follows. And in this, we are giving ourselves to the mystical power of the universe. We're calling upon Brahman to illumine our intellect and mental powers towards righteous living. And the words Bur, Bhuva, and Svaha mean past, present, and future. Forgive my poor pronunciation, but you'll hear them in the mantra. This is only a couple of minutes, so let's just contemplate, take a deep breath, and perhaps close our eyes or keep the eyes on the idea of India superimposed over America. And let us hear this mantra. Thank you. What else do the masters say, Jaspal? I think you have an important concept here.
Yes, Lois, this is another quotation that we'll be sharing from Ascended Master Chananda about his figure 8 flow. And I like to actually go back to, before I say that, the twin flame relationship creates a polarity like yin and yang, like alpha and omega, or north and south poles. As you can imagine, on a global level, it creates a flow of light or energy between 2 points, like 2 wires of the electric cord. So in this particular figure, this particular illustration, you can see the nation of India on the left side, nation of America on the other side, Saint Germain on the right side, Chananda on the left side. In the center where the nexus is Sanat Kumara. Well, in the heart of Sanat Kumara, by the way. So this is what Chananda said about that. He says, Chananda says that Lord Sanat Kumara has decided to place himself at the nexus of that figure 8 wherever it occurs. Chananda says, quote, thus, through the mighty heart of the Ancient of Days, the light that translates between you shall fulfill both aspects of the law, that of accelerating light in the earth by his mighty heart, and that of bearing the cross of planetary karma. Now, that is a mighty statement. What does it mean? Then he continued his dictation, which we have not included. So the question is, how does the participating in this flow of light create an excess of figure 8 flow? What does Chananda meant here? Well, the answer is this. He said 3 things, and those are the 3 requests he made. He says, please pray for the divine coordination of divine plan of America and India as one plan. That's first thing requested. Please make calls for the coordination of the divine plan of America and India as one plan. Number 2, please make calls for the transmutation of planetary karma through this figure 8 flow. So the karma of each nation does not strike on the walls of each nation's boundaries and comes back to the same country. So there's a flow there. So it's not stagnation. Third request he made is that we also he said, please make calls for transferring the teaching of the Ascended Master to the nation of India. What does that mean? It means to me is that Samarthak Laos was founded in 1958, and where we are today. So by the configuration of the twin flame flow of energy, it will not take as long as it has taken in America for the Ascended Master teaching to come to this point from 1958. It will take a fraction of that time for the figure 8 flow, and the other twin flame will benefit from it, as we've been talking about the Ascended Master teaching. One holds the balance of Christ, other erases the vibration of the other half, like this. So I think here is another link. So these 3 requests, but also we make the calls to those 7 masters who coordinated divine plan of America and India. They are namely Great Divine Director, they are Saint Germain, they are Almoria, they are Chananda, they are Kutumi, they are Dwalkul, and they are Serapis Bey. Those are the 7 masters that we can always, because they are waiting for us. So I think it's really kind of, you can say, tall order. I think it's a loving order. It's a loving order. Make this call to those 7 masters. Ask Sanat Kumara to place your heart over your heart when you do your decrees, Vale flame decrees, or any kind of decrees. Yeah? And then you make those calls about the three calls that I have mentioned. Lois?
Those are so important. I'm going to actually repeat them in a moment, but I wanted to invite people who may have the same feeling that you and I have, Jaspal. The feeling that I have is that if we could achieve this wholeness, or even start to come close to this wholeness of union with our twin flame nation, that it would do so much. It's like in our own beings, we know we're looking for wholeness. And if only we had our counterpart, or, if we pray for our counterpart, whether we're married or not married, that's not the point. It's whether or not we have the flow of the figure eight flow that's shown in this slide. And if we have that wholeness of that flow, how much we can accomplish in our lives and for nations and for the earth. So I invite people to put into the chat what you think would happen really if our twin flame nations were more together and if we were working harmoniously together. To me, it seems like we would really stabilize the earth and stop war, economic problems, even things like global warming. And this would just be the beginning of the wholeness of the earth body. But if you have any ideas, please put them in. And then what you said, Jaspal, I think we should all write this down and remind ourselves, maybe look at it every day. 1, call for the divine plan of India and America to be as one plan. I'm going to have to really put that on the mirror or someplace to remember to do that. India, the divine plan of India and America to be as one plan. And then call for this flow for the transmutation of planetary karma, the flow between India and America to help transmute planetary karma. And finally, that the teachings of the Ascended Masters be transferred because we're twin flame nations. And so there's an immediate receptivity. Did I get that right, Jaspal?
That's absolutely correct, Lois. Thank you.
So we have been talking about the macrocosm, and now let's just go down, step down a little bit more, a notch, to talk about the chakras of India and America. These are the only countries where we know the name of each city associated with the chakra for that nation. So that's very helpful and very interesting too. And we can contemplate this. And it's another way, purifying our chakras, contemplating the chakras of our two nations as another way of bringing our twin flames together. Do you agree, Jaspal? Do you think that purifying the chakras of these cities would help bring the nations together?
Absolutely, absolutely. And if I may add a couple of things, would you like to add something before I explain a little bit more in detail?
Sure. I don't have, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, look at this. These are the only 2 countries that we know corresponding chakras like that I know of. Of course, USA chakras are known to everyone. When Mother went to India in 1980, she explained to us those other chakras of India, corresponding chakras of India. So I think what we did, we took a picture of a chakra man, and on both sides we put the corresponding chakras at the tally. So let's start with the USA. Crown chakra, of course, Boston. Third eye chakra, New York City. Throat chakra, Washington, D.C. Secret chamber of the heart, we don't know about United States. Heart, Chicago. Solar plexus, Detroit. Seat of the soul, Los Angeles. Base of the spine, Miami. And let's go to the right side. Chakras, cities of India. Crown chakra is Srinagar, which is Kashmir, where Kutumi's retreat is. Third eye chakra is Rishikesh. That's all the mountains. Throat chakra is New Delhi. Secret chamber of the heart is Varanasi and Darjeeling. There are 2 cities that Mother mentioned. Varanasi is where the river Ganges flows. Darjeeling is where Almoria's retreat is. Secret chamber of the heart, there are 2 of them. Because I think there's a belt that goes under the earth, that same belt, a geological belt that crosses from Varanasi to Darjeeling. That's my understanding. Heart chakra is Kolkata. It used to be called Calcutta before. Now they changed the name to Kolkata. Solar plexus is Mumbai and Bhubaneswar. These are the 2 cities. Mumbai, Bhubaneswar is where Jesus went also when he went a place called Puri and Bhubaneswar in the state of Orissa. So those are the solar plexus chakra. Now you know a little bit more about that. Seat of the soul chakra is Hyderabad, and the base of the spine is Chennai or Madras. It used to be Madras before change the name to Chennai. Well, what we can do is, as Lois said, this is a microcosm, figure 8 flow. We can apply to that. So same way as we did between the countries of America and India, we can do chakra by chakra. You can visualize this picture like this. You can put your heart chakra, in the middle that your person is, and you can do the by the power of 3 times 3. You can take the Chicago and the heart, Kolkata. Everyone is free. You can do the same way. Same thing with the crown chakra. By the power of 3 times 3, Srinagar and Boston. Everyone is free. At the same way, you can send the violet flame by the power of 3 Dhammas, you can see the violet flame to each of the chakra pairs. Again, call them chakra city pairs. Like this. So I think this is my thought. You may have much more creative thoughts, as the Holy Christ will tell you how you could use this image, this figure, to really raise the planet, not only India, America, but in the process, the whole planet. That's my two cents of I want to say that on this, Lois.
Thank you. And we're going to actually do this now as part of our service to India and America. So we'll go into this meditation with Elizabeth Clare Prophet that's focused on our personal chakras, but we'll have this screen so that you can also focus your attention on each of these chakra cities as we give this. And it also comes to mind how blessed we have been. Jaspal and other members of the India Planning Committee have organized some trips to India where the students, where we all have visited many of these cities and given the violet flame and prayed for the clearance of these chakras. And this is an ongoing process, of course. So we thank all of you who have come along, and we pray that there will be some future opportunities. But if a person cannot go there physically, we certainly can do this work, which is not work at all, but helping us as it helps everyone. So we're going to go into this now. Are we ready, Jaspal?
Yes, we are. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Now we're going to roll up our sleeves and get to work on those chakras. Number 20. And those chakras are the signs of the Lords of the Seven Rays and their initiation. If you look on the screen, you'll see your heart chakra. It has 12 petals. This is page 5, number 20, number A. We're going to see on the screen the heart chakra and each of the 7 chakras. And the next slide you're going to see is the violet fire burning through what appear to be rocks or clumps of wood. You have to imagine this at the cellular level of karma lodging in the cells and molecules and atoms of your being, flecks of dust or soot or crystallized substance that has a negative vibration. That is exactly how karma clogs our beings, our bodies, the earth, the water, the air. And that is why we get burdened, and that's why our vibrations go down. The definition of vibration, by the way, is the rate of the spin of the electron around the atoms of your being. That's the truth, and that's what you'll read about in the first Keeper of the Flame lesson. So what happens is that the density of our consciousness, because it's God's light, we're misqualifying, it accumulates as fine dust or smog between those wide open spaces of the electrons. So they slow down, they can't pass through as easily. And the rate of that revolution of the electron around the nucleus determines your personal vibration. And the more you have light and the violet flame, the more you accelerate, the more you have energy. There is a new joy in your life because the electrons themselves are enjoying that cosmic spin you're giving them. So that substance that gets heavy between the electrons has been compared to molasses or asphalt hardened or to clumps of substance like on the screen. So if you look at the chakras on the chakra man, whom we'll put up now, and you see on the very front of your booklet, see where those chakras are in your body. Where they are in your body means that if you have problems in that area of the body, you are dealing with the karma you have made on that ray which corresponds to that chakra. So if you have a problem, let's say a chest problem in the lungs, you would associate that with the heart chakra and the throat chakra. So you would look for the clearing of those 2 chakras and also a scientific application of diet. The most scientific and satisfactory diet that parallels that of the ancient Eastern adepts that we have given back to us today is the macrobiotic diet, because it seeks to restore the balance of yin and yang, or alpha and omega. Now that's how we practice it at the Royal Teton Ranch. It is practiced according to the disciplines of the Ascended Masters. And you will find that if you can restore balance in your physical body, the physical body and atoms can contain more light, and therefore you have strength and balance physically to carry more light in your chakras. So this is a very physical path of self-mastery that we are walking under the Ascended Masters. So we're going to take number 20. We're going to say, I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires, 3 times between each of those lettered decrees. And if you see the order of the chakras, we're starting in the heart, which is the center, where the central sun of our being. And we're creating a spiral. The spiral goes through the throat, which is the 2nd chakra, the solar plexus, the 3rd eye, the seat of the soul, the crown, and we arrive at the base chakra of the Divine Mother, where we are ready to give the bija mantras, or seed syllables, for the raising of that sacred fire. So each time we do it, we'll see the pure chakra and its petals. Just for your information, the heart has 12, the throat 16, the solar plexus 10, the 3rd eye 96, the seat of the soul 6, the crown 972, and the base 4. Now the number of petals to the chakra determine its vibration and therefore the plane of heaven that it corresponds to. So the very base of the spine has the fewest petals because it relates closest to the physical octave, because it is the Divine Mother's light and life force that sustains our very physical bodies. So as you get higher and you get 972 petals, which is the 1,000-petal lotus, you really have a tremendously high pulsating frequency that can be in that crown chakra. So here we go. Look at the chakras, look at the violet flame, and visualize it blazing through those organs and cells that are near that place in your body. Beloved mighty I Am Presence, beloved Holy Christ Self, beloved Saint Germain and beloved Zadkiel, come forth now in the victory of the God flame. Seal us in the violet flame. Purge and purify us. Consume now all that is less than our Christ perfection. Transmute that energy and bless all life by its purity. Send it forth to our great causal body of love as the harvest of our good works on earth. Therefore we say together, I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. My heart is a chakra of violet fire. My heart is the purity God desires. My heart is a chakra of violet fire. My heart is the purity God desires. My heart is a chakra of violet fire. My heart is the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. My throat chakra is a wheel of violet fire. My throat chakra is the purity God desires. My throat chakra is a wheel of violet fire. My throat chakra is the purity God desires. My throat chakra is a wheel of violet fire. My throat chakra is the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. My solar plexus is a sun of violet fire. My solar plexus is the purity God desires. My solar plexus is a sun of violet fire. My solar plexus is the purity God desires. My solar plexus is a sun of violet fire. My solar plexus is the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. My 3rd eye is the center of violet fire. My 3rd eye is the purity God desires. My 3rd eye is the center of violet fire. My 3rd eye is the purity God desires. My third eye is the center of violet fire. My third eye is the purity God desires. A being of violet fire, I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire, I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire, I am the purity God desires. My soul chakra is a sphere of violet fire. My soul is the purity God desires. My soul chakra is a sphere of violet fire. My soul is the purity God desires. My soul chakra is a sphere of violet fire. My soul is the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. My crown chakra is a lotus of violet fire. My crown chakra is the purity God desires. My crown chakra is a lotus of violet fire. My crown chakra is the purity God desires. My crown chakra is a lotus of violet fire. My crown chakra is the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. My base chakra is a fount of violet fire. My base chakra is the purity God desires. My base chakra is a fount of violet fire. My base chakra is the purity God desires. My base chakra is a fount of violet fire. My base chakra is the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. You can keep accelerating that decree until you can't even hear the words anymore. And it has something to do with the acceleration of light in you.
Thank you for that wonderful work and assistance to India and America, everyone. And Linda pointed out, and we have to add this to our chart here, that the secret chamber of the heart for the United States is St. Louis. That's the city of St. Louis. So I'll have to add that in. We only recently added in Varanasi and Darjeeling from some of the notes that I think Jaspal came across. So of course, we do have that information, and that would be good to put that in. Thank you, Linda. I just wanted to check here. Oh, okay, someone sent to me a chat directly, and so not everyone saw it, but Carlton said, we have been told that English is an angelic tongue. English has also been described as an Indo-European language. Do you find that there are ancient spiritual connections between English, Sanskrit, and Hindi, which reflect this twin flame relationship between the two countries? That is a great question. And we know that Sanskrit is one of the other, English, Sanskrit, and Hebrew are the three languages that are closest to the angelic tongue. So let me have to ponder that question for a few moments, and others may have something they can put in that chat. And Christine asked, is Jaipur also part of the heart chakra in India? Would you like to speak to that, Jaspal? It's known as the Pink City.
Yes, it is. Initially, when we were there, mother was there in India, 1980. She did tell us Pink City as a Jaipur. Later on, when she came back, and I got notes from Peter Duffy about the correct. I think when she came back, and she was giving the description, her trip description to the staff here, and she mentioned not Jaipur, but I think Varanasi and as a Pink City, and also I'm sorry, the Calcutta as instead of Jaipur as a heart chakra. So that was something that I think the latest notes that mother had from that Peter Duffy sent to that I got from Peter Duffy. So it's called Calcutta or Kolkata instead of Jaipur, not the Pink City as as we had initially mentioned here. Yeah.
And as to Carlton's question about the Sanskrit and English and close to the angelic tongue, and do we find some similarities in language that would point to this twin flame relationship? I would say that, I'm not knowledgeable enough in those languages to say with great accuracy, but I do know that the seed syllables are something that we could really contemplate. The seed syllables that we chant in Sanskrit, which are for the enlivening of the chakras and the sparking of the flame of life within us. And those are universal. So I think there's a lot of universality in the ancient languages and these practices that come from India. So that's another thing we could really contemplate and put in part 2 or part 3. And if anyone comes up with some good ideas, some of you are linguists, so maybe you could help us do some research in that area. Did you have any thoughts about that, Jaspal, the language? Because
I think
the
you have said that. Excuse me, I'm not sure about Hindi. And as you mentioned, 3 languages, angelic tongues, Hebrew, Sanskrit, and English. I think the Hindi language came as an offshoot of Sanskrit. That's my understanding. But we can look into that. I think those are the 3 languages, angelic tongues, and the Hindi is, has a place, but I think it's commonly spoken. People do not use Sanskrit in a common day-to-day language. So I think I have to look into that. The question, where does it fit into in the whole equation,
Great question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's move on and draw a little bit closer to our conclusion. Jaspal, I think maybe you could help us speak to a little bit more about what the masters have said about the destiny of these nations.
Yes, thank you. We're winding down to the final 4 slides. So I think we're looking at the watch also. So like to make sure that we have everything in divine order. So this is a quotation from Saint Germain. Can we have that slide? Yeah, this is the one. So Saint Germain has a great interest in America and India. In fact, he is a sponsor of America, and he says, quote, "Therefore, we here in Darjeeling highly resolve that this nation under God shall survive as the union of the I am race, and this nation America and this nation India shall remain under the protection of the Great White Brotherhood as long as freedom fighters in embodiment will keep that flame for the defense of these 2 nations as the polarity of the planet." Another time he goes on to say this is another Saint Germain says that, "For India is actually the very soul opposite," he says soul, very soul opposite to the United States. India and America are 2 of the greatest nations in the entire world, although mankind are not aware of it. Where India is concerned, the Ascended Masters are. So I think there's much to talk about that. I mean, for the sake of the time, I think I'll leave it at as what Saint Germain said that.
Okay. Well, I think it just speaks again to how important this balance is in the figure 8 flow. So it's probably a good time to conclude with a few final tips of how we could support our twin flame relationship. Well, obviously, we could pray for America and for India, number 1. And then what about supporting business in India? There are organizations such as the India-America Chamber of Commerce. Would be interesting to be involved in some of these worldly organizations and infuse them with our light if they're appropriate. Of course, you can support Chinanda Cultural Society with your prayers, with your gifts, whatever you are inspired to do. Chinanda Cultural Society is the NGO that was formed by Jaspal and the board of directors in India to spread the work of the Ascended Masters. And then, of course, it's important to study the history and the religions of India to really get to know them better, be familiar, internalize what we can. And it would be great to visit India and, of course, the cities of America, really get to know both of these countries, bring your light wherever you go, say your prayers wherever you go, and study all that the masters have said about India and America. And then there's one more thing that's not on here. I think if we pray for our own twin flame and to have our union with our own twin flame, that will also draw these twin flame nations closer together. Anything else from you, Jaspal?
Yes, one thing is we have a India Sons and Daughters of Mother India Holy Order. So you can join the Holy Order, Sons and Daughters of Mother India. We have I think 8 or 9 Holy Orders. This is one of them was found long time ago. And in that Holy Order website page, when you click on the last thing, study all that masters have said about the relationship. We have a page there, 2 or 3 pages actually, of a Sunday Master quotation. There are many more that we did not cover here. They are listed over there. So you can actually read them and what the Sunday Master have said about this destiny of India and America as twin flame nations.
Thanks for that. You were reading my mind. I wonder if I could ask Jay or someone to put the Chananda Cultural Society website in the chat so people can go there sometime if they would like to.
Sure, I will do that.
Thank you very much. So, Jaspal, what do you think? Are we ready to conclude and have our sealing prayer and our song to Saint Germain?
Yes, I think we'd like to sing to Saint Germain. I think as we began our session with Chananda, singing to Chananda, inviting. I know Saint Germain is also here. If you want to really pay our homage to beloved Saint Germain as a warrior, as a sponsor of Olive Flame, and in India and every nation upon earth, which is a gift. People are loving that in India, and I think that is something that we can sing this little beautiful song to him.
And following our song and the sealing prayer that Jaspal will give, then I think we can stop our recording. And but you are welcome. It'll be time, our time will be finished, but we would be very happy to continue to talk with you once this part is sealed and to hear your comments and your additional questions. Is that okay, Jaspal?
Perfectly all right. Thank you.
Okay, so let's have this song.
Saint Germain, I give my heart to you.
move to the ceiling project. Jay, can we have that website, please? I can explain a little bit in a couple of
Sir, I
minutes.
already posted the name of the website. You want me to open the website?
Yeah, I think we can go for or before I seal it. I think people should know that, so I can just kind of quickly walk everyone through that, highlights of what it contains. So I think it'll be
Sir,
good
which one?
for
Chananda or the other one?
Chananda Culture Society. Yeah, Chananda Culture Society website. I think this beautiful website that we put to in many years ago, and we kept adding different things, and so I think for an Indian person, Indian mindset, that's what it is all about. What he's looking for. Okay, Jay, you can give us a little couple of minutes.
Yeah, so this is a website which is based basically on the parameters for the Indian chelas, and we have a link here to join meetings which we conduct on Saturdays and Sundays. Moreover, we have the books we have published till now, and we have a magazine where we were featured. So we have a link to that magazine if somebody wants to read that. Then we have free tools, like if you click on this box, it's an image. It will take you to the free tools provided by TSL. So we have all the tools in one page, like you can go to Karma lessons, you can go to Sanat Kumara lessons, you can go to Archangel Chakra lessons. Then we have a website, My I Am Presence. If somebody wants to visit that website, you want to go back to chananda.org, so you can click here. Then we have also included Ascended Master Encyclopedia here and the walletframe.com website. So these are all the free tools if a chela wants to see what more he or she can learn. So these free tools are a great help for that chela. Then we have certain posts where we have shared about the teachings on as per the Indian perspective, that how these teachings are related to somebody from India. So these are the posts according to that. And then we have again this box where we can straight away go to the lessons, and then we have the 4 questions. So that's basically it's about the website, the main page. Now we come to the no more section, and we have newsletters, we have Star of India letters, we have testimonials, we have photo gallery, we have our publications, which we have books we have published. And if you go to teachings, then we have teachings on Valet Agni, Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Kuan Yin, Signs of the Spoken Word. So Ascended Masters 101 decrees, and we have spiritual songs. So if I click on spiritual songs, people can listen to the songs on this website directly. They don't have to go anywhere like on YouTube or anywhere else. They can just start playing the songs. We have songs as per religion, like Hindu songs, Hindu bhajans, Sikh spiritual songs. Then we have Buddhist mantras, and then we have Zoroastrian songs, then we have Jewish songs and Christian songs. So anybody from any religion who wants to know which kind of songs, like from their religion, they can just come here and see what kind of songs they really want to listen. And we have also, if you see, we have some decrees here, which are like basically for people, with videos, so they can see and they can practice doing decrees on daily basis. Like we have had heart, head, and hand decrees. We have I Am Light. So it's basically an entire package for somebody who is coming new and want to practice on daily basis the teachings of the Ascended Masters. A new person who doesn't know, who doesn't have for somebody from India, spending some like dollars will be is an issue. So we are trying to give all the facility, all the knowledge here, so that once they start doing it, they can really explore more from the TSL website. Thank you.
Wow,
Thank you
good
very much, Jay.
overview, Jay. That was well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jay is the one who's the webmaster. He put everything together. So I think here is something. Before I make it in location, I'm looking at. I'd like to welcome some of us who have joined a little bit later. So I'm on behalf of the society, the Culture Society, and Lois and myself and Jay, we like to welcome. I think some of you have joined. Vicky, one welcome. Let's see. I'm looking at Celia, welcome. Mary Peck, welcome. Jeanette, welcome. Yeah. See, Maitri, yeah, you are from Malaysia. Welcome. I know you, Maitri. Long place. Yeah, God bless you. Gail, welcome. And of course, let me see if I think we have some more on my screen. See, I don't want to miss anyone. Let's see, Patricia on the phone. Welcome. And let's see, and Valerie, welcome. Valerie McBride, welcome. Carlton, Eugene, welcome. Valeria, welcome. Lucia, welcome. And Dufu, welcome. Ikopikia, I hope I pronounced it right. Please forgive me if I did not pronounce it right. Ivan Fly, welcome. Margaret, Alice, welcome. And someone on the phone, I don't see the name there. So thank you very much. All of you have taken time. This is something, a cosmic moment, as we said earlier. Today is a new day, as we talked about earlier. So again, God bless you all. So I'd like to make invocation. Then we stop the recording and then we go to question and answer. And those of you who like to stay, you are welcome to stay. In the name of the I am that I am, in the name of all of us who are gathered here and all who are connected with us on the inner, and that who will be watching this YouTube and the Facebook session in the future. We thank you, all the masters of the Gateway of Brotherhood, beloved Saint Germain and beloved Chananda, beloved Darjeeling Council, Indian Council, beloved Almoria, and the 7 masters who govern who offered their names, beloved Great Divine Director, beloved Saint Germain, beloved Almoria, beloved Chananda, beloved Kutumi, beloved Dwalkhol, and beloved Sarapas Bay. We ask you, beloved Sanat Kumara, we welcome your presence with us. We ask you to use each and every one of us who's ready and willing to use your dispensation of calling for the victory of the divine plan of the nation of America, India as one divine plan, and everything else that goes with it that you have put in our hearts. We ask you, beloved Guru Mahendranath, that we are one with your heart, that you can please count on us to use us heart, head, and hand, that we may please go to Lords of Karma for asking any dispensation that can be given for the victory of Summit Lighthouse, for victory of every Sunday Master Teaching Center study group all over the world, wherever the devotees, the children of the Master are gathered, and keeping the flame faithfully burning for this long, many years, many embodiments. We ask you, beloved Archangel Michael and 7 beloved Archangel, to come now, please, and seal this entire crown of light, this energy that has been released, multiplied as much as it can be used, but seal it in our hearts so that it not be misused or misqualified by anything of human or darkness in any your form, that it may be glorified, multiplied by all dispensation given to us by the Master, beloved Kuan Yin, beloved, and all the Indian deities, beloved Mother Mary, beloved Jesus. We are one with your heart. In the name of I am that I am, it is done, it is finished, it is sealed, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken it. Praise the Lord, I am that I am, Sanat Kumara, Om, Amen. Thank you all. God bless you. Lois, anything on your heart?
No, only that if we